Most people will die the way they lived quietly, forgettably, their names fading into family trees like dried leaves no one remembers. They were born, they existed, and then they vanished. No echoes, no legacy, just another photograph in a dusty album no one opens. But you weren't made for that. You are not here to blend into the bloodline like background noise. You are here to end the cycle, to become the one name they can't forget, the one story they still whisper about when your blood lives on in others. This isn't about being loved. This isn't about being accepted. It's about becoming so powerful, so undeniable, that you change the entire direction of your lineage. Your presence must rewrite the family myth. That means going to war not with swords, but with silent strategy and ruthless self-discipline. Every comfort you reject, every limitation you destroy, every time you choose power over approval, that is your rebellion. You are not just a man or woman. You are the reckoning. And when they ask what changed everything, they won't say a moment. They'll say your name. This is not just a video. It is your first step toward becoming the greatest your bloodline has ever seen. Look closely at your bloodline, not with admiration, but with clarity. What you'll find is not a legacy of power, but one of quiet surrender. Your ancestors didn't rise, they survived. They didn't lead, they obeyed. Their lives were shaped by fear, not vision. They clung to safety, not strength. They made choices based on what wouldn't upset the world around them, not on what could shape it. And generation after generation, they passed down more than just their name. They passed down their limitations, their silence, their obedience disguised as humility. You inherited more than blood, you inherited a script. A script that told you to play it safe, to be grateful for less, to never stand too tall or want too much. Be humble, stay quiet, don't make others uncomfortable. And above all, don't forget where you came from. But remembering where you came from doesn't mean repeating it. The truth is harsh. Your lineage wasn't built on greatness. It was built on compromise. On shrinking to fit into places you were meant to outgrow, on playing small in rooms where you should have commanded presence. Your family tree may be full of hard workers, kind people, well-meaning souls, but that doesn't make them powerful. That doesn't make them free. You were born into this pattern, but you were not born to continue it. You were born to confront it, to end it. This is where the cycle breaks. You are not a continuation. You are a rupture. Every tradition that keeps you small must be questioned. Every whispered rule that tells you to lower your head must be challenged. Being proud of your roots doesn't mean being shackled by them. You honor your bloodline not by repeating it, but by transforming it. You don't owe your past submission, you owe it clarity. You owe it the truth that comfort is not legacy, and survival is not victory. To lead your bloodline forward, you must burn the blueprint they gave you, not with resentment, but with resolve, not to shame them, but to free yourself. Because the truth is, your ancestors did what they had to do with what they had, but you have more, you know more, and if you still choose to live small, to carry their fears as if they're your own, then the fault is no longer theirs, it's yours. You will not inherit their chains. You will not pass them down. This is where the script ends, and your legend begins. If you want to become the one name your bloodline never forgets, the one that breaks cycles and builds legacies, you must follow 4 brutal, uncompromising strategies. This path isn't for the faint-hearted. It's for those willing to rebuild their identity from the ashes of everything that came before. Study your origins ruthlessly. Look into your family history, not with blind pride, but with precision. Not all stories are worth repeating. Trace the lines of your blood and search for where it broke, where they gave up, too soon, settled too fast, or surrendered out of fear. Find the ancestor who died with regret in his chest and dreams in his mind. Find the one who knew he was capable of more, but was too afraid to risk losing comfort. Then swear with everything in you that you will never die that way. Do not romanticize your roots. Interrogate them. If you want to go farther, you must first understand what held them back. Stop asking for permission. Greatness does not beg, it declares. Most people wait their entire lives for the approval of people who are just as lost, just as fearful, and just as ordinary. But power doesn't grow in permission, it grows in conviction. You don't need your parents to understand. You don't need your community to support you. And you certainly don't need society to clap while you build. As Machiavelli wrote, "A wise prince must learn not to be good." That doesn't mean cruel, it means effective. That means choosing results over reputation. If doing what's necessary offends the weak, let it. You're not here to soothe their fear. You're here to rewrite your destiny. Build in silence, emerge in force. They won't see you coming, and that's exactly how it should be. Stop broadcasting your moves. While they scroll, you study. While they sleep, you prepare. While they speak of dreams, you construct reality. The world doesn't need another loud dreamer. It needs a quiet storm. Your empire is not for their entertainment. Let your silence create curiosity. Let your absence create mystery. And when you finally rise, let the shock of your presence be the only announcement you need. Don't tell them what's coming, become it. Make your name a weapon. Your last name is not just a label, it's a legacy waiting to be claimed. Your family gave it to you empty. You will fill it with weight. You will attach greatness to it, attach danger to it, attach memory to it. When people hear your name, they should pause. They should feel something. Reverence, fear, respect. That's not ego. That's impact. That's legacy. And that's how you ensure that when they speak of the turning point, the moment everything changed, they won't mention a year. They'll mention you, the one who ended the cycle, the one who became the blueprint. There is a voice inside you, and it sounds polite, reasonable, even wise. It says things like, don't be too ambitious, play it safe, be humble, don't make others uncomfortable. You've heard this voice for years. It's familiar. It feels like home. But that voice is not your friend. It's not your intuition. It's not your conscience. It is the inner slave your upbringing created, a mental program installed by a long line of fearful ancestors who thought survival was the same as success. That voice is inherited fear, disguised as virtue. And if you don't silence it, it will guide your entire life straight into mediocrity. Your parents may have meant well. So did your teachers. So did the community that told you to fit in. Stay grounded and be realistic. But well-meaning does not mean right. Most people live small lives because they inherit a belief system built around submission. Submit to the rules. Submit to expectations. Submit to what's normal. That inner slave was trained to obey not because you're weak, but because they were afraid. And their fears were passed to you like a family heirloom. You didn't ask for it, but you've been carrying it anyway. That ends now. The inner slave must die. Not later, not gently, now. You must kill the part of you that apologizes for wanting more. You must destroy the version of you that asks for permission to grow. Every time you silence yourself to keep the peace, every time you shrink your vision to match someone else's comfort zone, every time you dull your power to be accepted, you feed that slave. And every time you do, your inner king, the part of you meant to lead, dominate, and transform, gets weaker. That king is waiting. He's been watching. And he's tired of hiding behind chains you never needed to wear. This transformation isn't about arrogance. It's about sovereignty. You cannot become a ruler of your own life until you overthrow the false wisdom that tells you to stay small. Humility, when weaponized, becomes self-erasure. And obedience, when habitual, becomes a cage. You were not born to carry the emotional wounds of your bloodline. You were not meant to inherit guilt for wanting more than they ever dreamed of. You were built to destroy what limited them and replace it with a new standard, not just for yourself, but for everyone who comes after you. But make no mistake, this process is violent. It requires solitude. It requires cutting ties not with people, but with the weaker version of you they still recognize. You'll have to walk away from their approval, from their comfort, from the identity they gave you. And in that silence, the real work begins. You don't just change your mindset. You burn it down and rebuild it brick by brick using truth, fire, and discipline. Because only when the inner slave dies can the inner king finally rise. Power in its purest form isn't just about what you control, it's about what people believe you control. True dominance is built not only on action, but on perception. In a world obsessed with self-expression, with oversharing, with proving and explaining, you must choose the opposite path. Speak less. Move with purpose. Let your silence create tension. Let your presence raise questions. Power is not always loud, it often moves like a shadow. The most feared individuals are not the ones constantly speaking. They are the ones whose silence makes the room colder, whose stillness demands attention. You are not a book to be read. You are a fortress, imposing, layered, and difficult to understand. People fear what they cannot predict. They respect what they cannot control. Your goal is not to be liked. It's to become a mystery too complex to decode, a presence that alters the atmosphere without saying a word. Machiavelli knew this well. He taught rulers that image is everything. Appear calm even when you are calculating. Appear harmless even when you're 10 moves ahead. Confuse them with warmth, then terrify them with strength. This is the art of strategic image building, not lying, but choosing which truths to reveal and when. Every movement you make must carry weight. Every word must feel deliberate. Speak not to be heard, but to shift the energy. Stand not to be seen, but to command space. You're not here to entertain curiosity, you're here to manipulate it. Let them think they understand you, then prove them wrong. Let them guess your next move, then do something they never saw coming. When your image is unpredictable, you become untouchable. This doesn't mean becoming fake. It means becoming selectively visible. Show just enough to influence, never enough to be fully known. You must hold your essence close like a weapon no one is allowed to touch. The more people see, the less they fear. So let them feel your power in suggestion, in what's left unsaid, in what's intentionally hidden. Control the narrative by revealing fragments, never the whole. Powerful men and women don't explain. They don't justify. They don't need applause to know they're effective. They let results speak. They let mystery build momentum. And they understand one simple truth: perception becomes reality. If people see you as sharp, composed, and beyond reach, they will treat you as such. But if you show your insecurities, your doubts, your inner chaos, they will use it. Not because they are cruel, but because weakness invites challenge. So refine your image like a strategist. Don't be reactive. Be intentional. You are building a legacy not just with what you do, but with what others say about you when you're not in the room. Make sure every whisper carries fear, respect, and uncertainty. Because in that space, true power lives. Every relationship is a negotiation of power, spoken or unspoken. Most people connect through emotion, vulnerability, and a deep craving to be seen. But if you want to lead, to influence, to dominate silently, you must master the one truth no one dares to say out loud. Attachment is control, and control is power. While they reach out seeking love, attention, or reassurance, you must learn to observe. Read their needs. Identify their insecurities. Understand their emotional rhythms. Then give them exactly what they crave, but only in doses. Just enough to hook them. Never enough to satisfy them. You become powerful the moment you are no longer emotionally dependent on anyone's response. Your detachment isn't cold, it's calculated. When you withhold attention, it becomes more valuable. When you delay validation, they chase it. When you disappear, they panic. You become the emotional oxygen in a sealed room. The more they want you, the less they can breathe without you. This is not about cruelty. It's about leverage. You're not using people, you're using their patterns. You're not lying, you're letting their desires work for you. Never allow someone full access to your core. Keep your truth behind 10 layers of silence. Let them feel close, but never be close. Let them think they understand you, but never hand them the full script. Because the moment they believe they own you emotionally, they will stop fearing your absence. You must become emotionally rare. Your presence must feel earned, not given. Your words should feel like currency, not noise. And your approval must be sacred, something they work for, not something they expect. Once people realize that their emotional survival is tied to your attention, they will bend, they will adapt, and they will submit. But the moment they become too comfortable, you pull away. Strategically, calmly, without explanation. That absence will echo louder than any presence ever could. It will create a hunger they can't name and a loyalty they can't rationalize. And in that psychological tension between desire and scarcity, you become unforgettable. Mastering emotional control isn't about being cold. It's about being precise. Every word you speak, every silence you hold, every gesture you make must serve your authority. You are not here to connect like the rest. You are here to control how people connect to you. Be the air they can't live without and disappear when they expect you most. Betrayal isn't a possibility, it's a guarantee. In life, in power, in legacy building, the question is never if someone will turn on you, it's when. And the more powerful you become, the more likely it is that those around you, family, friends, partners, even allies, will eventually shift. Sometimes out of envy, sometimes out of fear, often out of sheer opportunity. That's the nature of power. It breeds loyalty in appearance, but beneath the surface it invites ambition, resentment, and silent rebellion. If you are not prepared for betrayal, you are not prepared for power. The moment someone begins to question your authority, your strategy, your vision, you must respond, not emotionally, not dramatically, but decisively. If someone threatens your position, remove them. If someone starts to see through the mask you've crafted, if they begin to notice the calculation beneath your charm, the power behind your silence, then you must vanish from their reach or destroy their influence before it spreads. You don't owe them a warning. You owe yourself protection. Loyalty once cracked cannot be trusted again, and the cost of hesitating is your kingdom. Understand, this is not about vengeance. This is about survival. Strategic survival. You are not here to play the hero in someone else's morality tale. You are here to build an empire of influence, and empires are not maintained through forgiveness. They are maintained through clarity, precision, and an unshakable sense of consequence. If you allow betrayal once, you invite it again. And if people think they can cross you without cost, they will. Every time. That's why your response must be swift, cold, and permanent. No guilt, no hesitation. Let others romanticize forgiveness, you practice removal. Let them call you ruthless. Let them say you've changed. Good. Change is evolution. Change is protection. Change is how you keep building while others are still bleeding from their loyalty wounds. You must also understand the deeper truth. Betrayal rarely comes from enemies. It comes from proximity, from those you've allowed closest, which means your power must never be fully visible. Your heart must never be fully accessible. Trust should be earned in drops, never poured out freely. And even then it must come with contingency plans, escape routes, countermeasures, leverage. You must be ready not just to survive betrayal, but to anticipate it. Preempt it. Strike first, not with emotion, but with design. Your silence should be a warning, your distance should be a strategy, and your response should leave no doubt about what happens when someone mistakes your calm for weakness. Because at the end of the day, power belongs not to the loudest, but to the most unshakable. And that means making hard choices long before others even realize you've made them. Betrayal is a law of human nature. Accept it. Master it. And when it shows up, don't flinch. Just smile and end it. And end. You weren't born to be liked. You weren't born to entertain, to be agreeable, or to live quietly in the margins of history. You were born to be remembered deeply, unmistakably, and even fearfully. Legacy is not built through comfort or applause. It is not secured by being popular, nice, or safe. Legacy is built through impact, through the relentless shaping of reality, and through becoming a force so powerful that even your absence feels heavier than most people's presence. The goal is not to live a long life, it's to build something that outlives you. Most people spend their days seeking acceptance. They want to be liked, validated, seen. But the ones who reshape bloodlines, who redefine surnames, who become legends, think differently. They understand that being remembered is more important than being welcomed. That sometimes the people you're here to uplift will first hate you for refusing to stay small. But that's the price. Greatness is never comfortable, and it's never quiet. You must build system structures that move when you're not around. A way of thinking, a standard of action, a code of behavior that shifts the DNA of your family, your business, your legacy. When they speak your name, they shouldn't just recall memories. They should feel disciplined clarity and fire. Your name must become a blueprint, a threshold, a line in the sand that divided everything before you from everything after. You don't pass that down through stories alone. You pass it through pressure, through example, through unshakable identity. Become the myth. Become the figure they speak of in reverent tones or hushed fear. That doesn't mean acting larger than life. It means becoming so disciplined, so precise, and so uncompromising in your standards that people question how you did it. Let them feel your legacy in how they move, how they work, how they think. Because you became the one who made the shift real, you will lose friends along the way. Some people will misunderstand you. Others will resent the way your presence challenges their mediocrity. Let them. Your goal is not to comfort them. It's to awaken something bigger than their approval. You are not here for smiles. You're here for change. And when the day comes that you are gone, your presence must remain in systems that still operate in rules, still followed in names that rise because yours once did. That is the weight of a true legacy. That is how you become the standard, not just a memory. And when people ask what caused everything to change, what broke the curse, what rewrote the future, they won't name a trend, a year, or a moment. They'll name you. They'll call you cold. They'll say you've changed. They'll whisper that you've lost your heart, your softness, your warmth. Let them. Let them cling to their comfortable definitions of who you were before you chose to rise. Because the truth is, mediocrity always attacks what it cannot understand. Weakness mocks discipline. Laziness hates focus. And the ordinary will always feel threatened by the one who dares to break free. But you weren't born to be explained. You were born to be felt, to be impossible to ignore even in absence. You are not here to fit into the world, they are here to remember that you changed it. So when they ask, who was he or who was she, let the silence answer. Let your results speak. Let your legacy echo in the spaces you used to occupy. Because when the transformation is real, you don't need to announce it. Your presence becomes myth. Your name becomes a warning, a standard, a symbol. There's a reason lions don't explain themselves to sheep. And there's a reason storms don't apologize for changing landscapes. Power doesn't ask for approval. It doesn't chase applause. It doesn't respond to gossip noise or shallow opinions. It just moves, quietly, unshakably. And that's who you've become, a force, not a personality. A presence, not a persona. They'll call you extreme because you refuse to live moderately. They'll label you arrogant because you chose self-respect over self-doubt. And they'll call you dangerous because you learned how to say no without guilt, how to rise without permission, and how to walk away without a word. Every insult they throw is just proof that you did what they couldn't. You didn't stay small to make others feel big. You didn't dilute yourself to make the room more comfortable. You commanded the room even in silence. So say less, do more. Let your actions become untraceable and your impact undeniable. Because when people can no longer define you, they can only react to you. They'll speculate. They'll try to explain your methods. They'll rewrite your story to suit their comfort. But they will never forget you. That is power. That is presence. And that is the mark of someone who did not come to live gently, but to shake the ground beneath their name. And not with applause, but with consequence. Let your name live on as a boundary others don't cross, as a myth they study, as a standard they measure themselves against and fall short. Because in the end, your life is not a conversation. It is a statement. And when all is said and done, when your story is told in rooms you never entered, and times you never saw, they won't ask what you did. They'll ask how you made them feel. And the answer will be silence. Heavy. Echoing. Unforgettable. The most powerful lesson from this message is simple but uncomfortable. You are not obligated to carry the weaknesses of those who came before you. Legacy is not about honoring old limits, it's about breaking them. Most people inherit fear obedience and a script of smallness disguised as humility, but you have a choice to repeat the past or to rewrite it. That means letting go of the need to be liked, cutting off emotional dependencies, and learning to build quietly, strategically, and without apology. In a world that rewards performance, true power comes from restraint, presence, and the courage to become a myth, not a memory. You weren't born to fit in, you were born to be felt long after you're gone. So ask yourself, are you here to blend in or to end the cycle? If this message resonated with you, share it. Someone out there is still trapped in the legacy they never chose. Help them wake up. Like, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next drop. Your transformation isn't entertainment, it's revolution. Live it, share it, own it.